Going on, guys? Got the bikes out here, and I had a buddy of mine ask me, he's thinking about getting a bike. He's torn between a street bike, supermoto. He's not really thinking about a Harley, but figured since my mom's got one, I'd pull it out here and make a video on this. Now, this right here is my 2018 DRZ. Ignore the ugly ass fucking blue vinyl it's got going on it. Threw it on one day at work because I pulled the plastics off and that shit does not match under there. About to just make it all black, get some new plastics. But this is my mom's, I think it's I'm not sure the year actually. Sportster over here. So if you're hopping on something like a DRZ, highway speeds, I don't know what your speed limit is around where you are, but down here people are cruising 80, 90 all day long. This thing with the upgraded sprocket does about 60, 70 comfortably. So yeah, it'll cruise on the highway, but definitely feel like you're about to blow up when you're on that shit. Another thing too is a lot of people, they want the DRZs. Is a big reason I got it. I want a wheelie, you know? I grew up wheeling four-wheelers, but I wanted to get good on a bike, so I got the DRZ. This thing's, it's good. It's heavy, you know? I used to have a KX 125. That thing was fucking light as shit compared to this thing, man. I mean, this DRZ right here is a hog, I tell you that. But it definitely gets down. It puts it up, especially if you upgrade the sprocket. When I bought this thing, it had a 14 tooth sprocket on the front. Oh, I got my plate on there, and it had a 47 on the back. And this thing would throw it up in every gear, but I was fifth. I think I redlined at about 80 miles an hour. So it was definitely not practical. 60 miles an hour, you were screaming. So I ended up going with 15 in the front. I went to stock, I think, at first and went to 47. And then, no. I went to 41. I went to stock, I went to 41. And then recently I got a new chain and bumped it back up to 45. So it's definitely a little peppy, still comes up every year, pretty easy. But yeah, that's a big factor to consider when you're getting these bikes, is whether you want a wheelie or something. Of course, there's the gangsters out there wheeling on the Harleys, but it takes time. I wouldn't expect a lot of highway riding. I know some people gear their bikes to a 15 tooth sprocket in the front and a 39 tooth in the back, and you can get on the highway and, you know, be at some decent RPMs, but that kind of defeats the purpose of having the supermoto, in my personal opinion. I love throwing this thing up, but at the end of the day, it's what you want to do with it. I would highly recommend one of these bikes. They're fun. I got the one finger clutch on mine. I got the rear pegs. I got the axle sliders, the upgraded sprockets. That's all you need. Got the RMZ 450 front fender with the headlight bracket. I'll do a tutorial on how I mounted this thing up. You know, man, these are just great, solid bikes. This one's got, I think I'm coming up on 9,000 miles. This thing's a tank, man. I mean, you do your oil changes. They're cheap too, man. I think I paid $5,000 for this thing when it had 5,500 miles. It was 2019. 2020. So 3 years ago. I haven't looked at where they're at now, but I'm sure they're still a lot cheaper than, say, these things. I know she paid $5,000 for this thing. I think it has 10,000 miles on it. Don't get me wrong, it's a good bike. This thing, you're cruising down the highway, you're cruising down A1A, you know. Cops love you on Harleys down here. Cops are looking out for you if you're on this thing down here. Especially, you got a plate like this on there and they're not seeing it. They're getting right behind you. They'll pull you over, tell you to bend your plate back. They'll fuck with you on this thing. They won't fuck with you on this thing. So, it's always something to consider. And if you want to get something like a sport bike, you know, that's just new territory. That's not somewhere I can speak. But as far as getting a DRZ in 2023, I think they're definitely worth it. I would definitely not, you know, go and buy a brand new one. Maybe if you don't have the funds like that, go and buy a used one like I did. Got this one, it was 2 years old. Paid $5,000 for it, 5,500 miles, 5,000 miles, something like that, and it's never given me a problem. I think this thing will run for another 10,000 miles. Another thing to consider with the DRZs is how responsible are you? Tell you what, oh shit, tell you what, man, you hop on this bike and it makes you want to turn into a hoonigan. So no matter your skill level, how responsible are you? Because this thing will make you think. But over here to the Harley, I mean, you already know this thing's just pure cruising. It gets down, it's quick. I think it's a Sportster Nighthawk something, 1200. But yeah, this thing's mean. See which bike checks off more on your list. At the end of the day, this thing, you can go on-road, off-road, wheelies, highway if you gear it, but then you might lose some of your wheelie capabilities. But you know, these things are very versatile. This thing over here, you know, cruising. There's some guys who can throw these things up, but you're not doing much off-roading on this. But it's kind of the same as a sport bike. You're not doing much off-roading, but you can throw it up and you can haul ass. So should you still get a DRZ in 2023, you know, over a Yamaha WR450, a KTM, a Husky, a Kawasaki, you know, all the other bike brands out there? I would say yes, man. These things are great bikes for the price you pay. They'll get you out there on the street with everybody else, you know. You could sell them, you know, if you still want to upgrade. That's what I always wanted to do, but now I love this thing, man. I'm going to keep it. Drz400 is really the budget supermoto, more bang for your buck. You know, a lot of the other ones, don't get me wrong, they're killer bikes. Who doesn't want a KTM, you know? But at the end of the day, this thing will get you out on the street. You'll be riding right next to the KTM boys, throwing up wheelies, you know, cruising. It's all about getting out there on the bike, man. And this is a great way to do it. You know, I got this bike thinking I was going to ride it for, you know, a couple years and then sell it off, get me a KTM. But I'm thinking I'm going to keep one of these things and either get myself an FC07 or maybe a Harley now. Because, tell you what, these things are not fun on the highway, but in every other aspect, they kill it. Although, these things are, in my opinion, ugliest turd. Especially with this graphics kit on. I know this vinyl's ugly as shit. Don't roast me for it, but that's going to be fixed up here soon. But I know. These things, what, they haven't been updated in about 20 years. So they're not the prettiest bikes out here, but I've seen some people get creative with them, you know, chop up some plastics, custom. Seen a lot of people do some RMZ 450 plastics on them or something, and they look really nice. These bikes are great off-road. You know, you can throw some dirt tires on them, have a spare set, go hit the local trails. Fuck it, ride the fucking sumo tires, hit some local trails, man. They're very versatile, so they're super simple. This bike over here, although it's a great bike, she's had some electrical issues, something with the keys not recognizing with the bike, and she's had to take it to Harley, and it's been a whole pain in the ass. You know, it keeps you from being out on the bike. This thing, put the key in, starts right up. You know, sometimes I let it sit a little long and the battery's dead, and that's it. That's all you ever gotta worry about on these things. Do a valve change or a valve check whatever the fuck the manual says. And these things are bulletproof, man. I'm in the forums, some of these people have crazy amounts of miles on these things. So should you buy a DRZ in 2023? I would say yeah, man. These things are killer bikes for the price you pay. You know, they'll get you out there with everybody else. You know, they might not be as peppy as, you know, the 450s, but at the end of the day, they'll teach you to wheelie. You know, if you already know how to kill wheelies on something else, you'll kill wheelies on this bike. They're great beginner bikes. They're great, just fun bikes at the end of the day. I think you'll definitely not regret getting one. I would say go ahead and do it if it checks off all the boxes on your list.